Letters to IDMR presents
The Dangers of Cult-like Mentalities. A Personal Journey. Anonymous, August 4th, 2024. Understanding the allure of cults and rigid organizations requires examining the traits of individuals who are often drawn into these environments. People with a strong desire for belonging, certainty, and a clear sense of purpose are particularly vulnerable. They may be experiencing personal crises, feelings of isolation, or searching for meaning, making them more susceptible to the promises of a charismatic leader or a tightly knit community. Growing up in the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research, I was immersed in an environment where questioning the teachings was not just discouraged, but nearly impossible. This was the only truth I knew, and it was presented as the sole path to understanding the divine. From a young age, I was taught that the use of names like Yahweh and Yahshua was paramount, while the name Jesus was considered erroneous. This indoctrination was so deep that it shaped my worldview entirely. Part of what solidified my belief in these teachings was the influence of the International Dean, Dr. Robert Harris. His authoritative manner, coupled with his medical degrees and the way he carried himself, was captivating. I was enthralled by him and would spend hours listening to his lectures, trying to emulate his style and absorb his knowledge. His presence added a layer of credibility and charisma to the doctrine that made it even harder to question. However, as I began to delve deeper into the history and contradictions within IDMR, I found myself grappling with significant issues that couldn't be ignored. Henry Clifford Kinley's founding of the Institute was rooted in a quest for metaphysical understanding, but his teachings often presented conflicting ideas. One major contention was the strict adherence to the names Yahweh and Yahshua, contrasted with the broader Christian acceptance of the name Jesus. A great turning point for me was realizing that Dr. Harris was not only promoting the teachings but was also pushing the divinity of Henry Clifford Kinley, encouraging followers to worship Kinley as God. Additionally, Dr. Harris was attempting to convince us that he himself was also God in a body. This was the final straw for me, as it highlighted the cult-like tendencies of the organization and the manipulation of faith for control. And so, after 30 years of indoctrination, I left behind the only community and worldview I had ever known. It was tremendously difficult, but in the years since my departure, the school has continued its steady decline into lunacy, validating my decision. Harris began to declare that he was our mother and that Henry Kinley was our father. And as the members began to embrace this perplexing view of salvation, their correlations evolved into stranger and stranger philosophical ideologies, where Harris and Kinley were birthing spiritual sons through a spiritual asexual union, and then casting down and out the inner man of the sinner to be replaced with a new threefold entity born from the spiritual loins of a man named Robert Harris. Reflecting on my personal journey, it becomes evident that Kinley's strict doctrinal stance on the names may have been a way to establish a distinct identity for IDMR rather than an absolute love for the truth. This was especially evident in the Institute when, in later years, they abandoned the name of Yahshua and instead began praying in the name of Henry Kinley. I became more aware that IDMR's rigid framework left little room for questioning or personal exploration of faith. My experience growing up in IDMR, compounded by the authoritative influence of figures like Dr. Harris and the push towards worshiping both Kinley and Harris, has shown me the powerful impact of dogmatic teachings on an individual's ability to think critically and seek truth beyond what is prescribed. This personal journey has made me keenly aware of the traps of cult-like mentalities and rigid organizations. I found it easy to fall into these traps, not just within IDMR, but also in other areas of life, such as political parties like the Democrats and Republicans. The polarization and the tendency to view the opposing party as inherently evil mirror the same black and white thinking I experienced in IDMR. It has taught me the importance of critical thinking and the dangers of dogmatic adherence to any ideology, whether religious or political. Cult-like traits can be found in various organizations across different domains. Examples include Political parties, intense polarization and demonization of the opposing party. Corporations, companies with a cult of personality around their CEO or rigid corporate culture. Social movements, groups that demand absolute loyalty and suppress dissent. Self-help groups, organizations that promise personal transformation but require total commitment. Exclusive clubs, groups that create a strong in-group out-group mentality. The teachings within IDMR, much like the polarization seen in contemporary political landscapes, create an environment where the other is demonized. And any deviation from the prescribed beliefs is harshly condemned. In politics, just as in IDMR, there is a danger of losing sight of the humanity and complexity of those who hold different views. This realization has been a crucial part of my growth, highlighting the necessity of embracing critical thinking, empathy, and the willingness to question even the most deeply held beliefs. A crucial warning for those who break free from such high-control groups is that if they do not address the root causes of their inclination to join a cult, they may find themselves drawn to another similar group. Understanding the underlying needs that led them to seek out such environments, such as a need for belonging, certainty, or a clear sense of purpose, is essential for true liberation. By understanding the ways in which cult-like mentalities can take hold, whether in religious groups or political parties, we can better guard against the dangers of dogmatism. My journey has shown me that true understanding and progress come from questioning, exploring, and embracing a diversity of perspectives. This approach not only enriches our own lives, but also fosters a more inclusive and compassionate society. Thank you for watching.